life, and welcome back to the polytunnel and the plot. Any of you that have been following me for a while will know that I'd let it get on top of me, but I've been working really hard to pull things back. So my plan this season, because the plot was such a mess, was just to grow in here, and as you can see, I'm surrounded by plants and it's an absolute delight to be in here. So to my left I've got a few cobra beans here, then here I've got some Chioggia beetroot, this chard, I know I rave on about this peppermint chard, but it's just lush. Peppermint chard, some Lucullis chard. Behind that I've got some beautiful curly kale. You can see this nasturtium here, and there's a nasturtium here, and there's a story behind those, and I'm going to show that to you in a moment. Just in this bed here I've got carrots, parsnip, there was a nasturtium in there, we've got straw flowers, I've got cucumbers, I took the peas out, I think I mentioned that. My tomatoes are looking fabulous, and I've had a few pickings from those. In the hanging baskets, the flowers that I sowed, the hanging basket mix flowers, they're coming and they're looking lovely. Slower and more behind than if I'd sown them at the right time, but I planted them late. But they're there, and you know, they look lovely along with some nasturtium. In the 3 baskets, I've got my Jackby little pumpkin experiment, and they are starting to climb, so I'm hoping for success there. And even if I don't get many little Jackby little pumpkins, which is looking as though I should, but even if I don't, it's been fun, and it's filled a space, and it's green, and it's beautiful. And then the squash behind me, the crown prince, are starting, I don't know if you can see, to actually climb up this frame, and they're also growing along in this bed. I've got a few sweet peas behind you, the basil, some more tomatoes, the courgettes. The courgettes got some bugs, and they're not looking so great. I'm not sure what bug they were, little black flies. I haven't had that on squash or courgette before, but you know, that's growing, isn't it? But having success, having harvests, I've still got some potatoes to harvest, so it's all good in here. We've also been getting back on top of the farm, so my time has been split between cracking on here on the plot, but essentially the plot is a hobby, although our ultimate goal was to become as self-sufficient as we can. This year it has had to take a back burner, and of course the farm has to come first. So all the animals are absolutely fine, they're all looking brilliant, but we've had to start getting on top of field maintenance, so again that's had to take a little bit of a priority. And then of course, you know, hobbies, walking and swimming and all the things I enjoy doing. And I'm actually in my 2nd week now being back at work, and it is so good to be back. Hang on, I'm just steaming up a bit here because I'm really warm. So it's a little bit of an overcast day out there, but it's quite muggy. Let me just have a little look, bear with me. So it's 23.2 degrees in here, and it's 16.6 degrees outside, but it's that mugginess. I had a swim this morning at 7:30 in the mere, and it was really quite cool and very choppy and raining, but I had a nice, just a quick swim. I've been swimming every morning for about 15-20 minutes, and then some days I'll go back in the afternoon and have a longer swim. Anyway, I'm going off piste here. So what I was getting at is I'm having to split my time up, but I'm really pleased with the progress, and I'll show you a bit of what's been going on outside as well. And I'm under no doubt whatsoever now that you know, come the spring we'll be ready again. It'll be back on track, it'll be looking the way I like it to look, and all those beds outside will be ready for growing. But as I say, I'm really pleased with what is going on here in the polytunnel. So while we're in here, instead of moving the camera, I'm actually going to show you, when we talk about companion planting, and companion planting has many benefits, one of which is helping with pest control. And I've got a brilliant example right here next to me. So here on the left you can see I've got, you know, brassicas. So I've got my chards and the kale, and they are looking really healthy and completely untouched. However, this nasturtium here was actually this tall. So I'm just going to take a bit off and show you. So this is all that remains of what was a normal nasturtium with leaves and flowers. So can anyone guess the culprit? Let me just get rid of that. I'm going to show you. I'll get this bit here off. So, whoop, come on, you little blighters. Tangled up. There we are. So look at this. It's a bit tricky to hold. Hang on. Can you see him? And then his little neighbours along here. So it's absolutely covered. Okay, I'll go back with your friends. In caterpillars. And they're the cabbage white caterpillar. So, an absolute wonderful example of how companion planting helps. So I could be mortified that they're eating my beautiful nasturtiums, but actually, by decimating my nasturtiums, they're keeping away from my brassicas. I just thought that'd be really interesting to show you. And they really have done an amazing job, and it's quite phenomenal to see. Oh, there's one on my trousers. It's quite phenomenal to see, you know, each morning when I come in, just how much they have chomped. I mean, it's phenomenal. So rather than trying to, you know, kill them and, you know, use anything that would be detrimental to the environment, I'm just letting them chomp. So, and equally, when we were pulling ragwort, we did leave some, which is right down the far end. It's nowhere near where the horses are grazing or the sheep. But it had a load of cinnabar moth caterpillars on it. And the cinnabar moth caterpillar feeds only on ragwort. So I left those for a while, and I'm keeping an eye on them. And as soon as those caterpillars have developed and flown, then I will pull out the ragwort, because ultimately I think it's really important that we are working with nature and not against it. And it's really important, isn't it, to be respectful and mindful that our impact of what we want to do is not impacting on the wildlife and the ecology system around us. So that's really important to me, and that's why I'm letting my caterpillars have an absolute field day in my nasturtiums. So I'm just going to get another drink of water, and then I'll take you outside and show you what's going on out there. And just by the by, for anybody noticing a plastic bottle, you will normally see me use my reusable bottles, and I just fill them from the tap. But periodically, this is from Severn Trent, thank you Severn Trent Water. Where we live, the water goes off quite a lot for various reasons. And of course, everybody in the surrounding farms, or the majority of them, and the village are on mains water. We're on a borehole. But when they come to dish out the complimentary water to tide us over until the water goes back on, they don't realise, and they always leave us a whole big crate of water. So that's the only reason I've got plastic bottles. I'm going to drink it. We've been given it. It's really handy to have in the caravan, and then I keep these bottles and use them for refilling, for having in the caravan, or if I'm going camping or going walking or whatever I'm doing, I will reuse them. Let's not go down the avenue of plastic particles, and you shouldn't drink out of plastic. I know this, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. So, enough rambling. Let's get outside. So let's just peek out. We're just at the door of the polytunnel, and the rhubarb, I've already had quite a lot from that, and oh, it's delicious. You can see we've started trimming this area. We've got a pile of weeds there. Haven't quite got round to sorting out the compost bays yet, and I do need to do some clearing around here. But that's looking so much better, isn't it? And you'll have just seen I've been weeding out in this brassica bed, and we're going to get a little bit closer. So there's still a few weeds down at the bottom there. but it started raining and I wanted to bring the camera in, and I was also very hot and I wanted to stop and have a breather. But look at all this. This is all nicely weeded. I've still got, I mean, they're a little bit slug damaged, but there's no wonder because they were just surrounded by weeds. But I have still got some brassicas there. So we've got, here is the beautiful scarlet kale. I think there's some Brussels down the bottom and possibly some purple sprouting broccoli. And then we've got a selection of chards here. I did lose all the cabbages to the slugs, but you know, that was my own fault for just letting things go. But this year I'm not focusing on what I haven't got, I'm focusing on what I have got. So the rain's about to come down again, but I think we might just get this done. So you can see I've got another pile of weeds there to add to all of those there in the wheelbarrow. I just need to do another little bit of weeding on these beds again because there's some weeds just starting to pop through. We've got raspberries coming through. I still need to weed the strawberry bed and this path here. But as you can see, I've started clearing pathways. There's a lot that I've just thrown down there, so that needs to be taken and composted. The flower bed I have weeded. It was just completely horrific. So having weeded it, we can now see I've got a calendula here. There were some sweet peas, but they've given up. The clematis that I thought was dead, let me just move you up. I really thought it had died over the winter and then been strangled out by weeds. But as you can see, it's not flowering yet, but it's looking really healthy. And I'm really hopeful that next year we're going to have some lovely flowers. We've got some Californian poppies just here. There's some lovely cranesbill in the corner. And then you can see the bulbs coming through. So they were the summer bulbs that I put in. I did put a lot more in than that. But again, you know, because I let it get overgrown, a lot of them have not come. But they might come next year. And I'm not sure if these will actually flower this year because, again, they were just so swamped out by weeds, but at least it's starting to look like a flower bed again, and this time next year it should be back to its former glory. And you can just see, hopefully you can see them, the Sweet William there as well. Then massive progress over here in that this has had a good strim and is no longer a jungle. I do need to strim it again and keep on top of it, but boy oh boy is that looking so much better. And it's actually really lovely to be able to see when I come up the drive, when I come home from anywhere, I can actually see my shed again and my beautiful window box. So all in all, the plot is starting to look like my plot again. So I've just quick hopped in the shed because it is one of my favourite places to be, and it's an absolute delight to be able to sit in here and look out and see all my hard work is paying off. So any of you that are behind this year, or for whatever reason your plots or your gardens have got away from you, you know, I was feeling so despondent and now I'm feeling back on track. And that's the wonderful thing about growing and gardening, is you can always have a do-over. So thank you so much to all of you that watch and support my channel. It really means a lot to me. And I didn't do a video last week because of my return to work. I did intend to, but I'm trying to keep that work-life balance, and I just didn't have any time to do any filming or editing. But I'm back on track and I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week.